Good afternoon. I'm Superintendent Bill Furbush, and here we are for another segment of Out of the Blue News. Today we have our SRO, Officer Greg Huard, with us, and we're excited to talk about some of the safety updates that we've been doing this year. So I'm just going to get right into some of the questions. Right before you came on, a couple of years ago, we started moving the district to Avoid, Deny, Defend.
Correct.
ADD. In your opinion, why would we move to that, and what is some of the training that we've done to help move our students and move our staff to understanding ADD?
I think the real reason, Bill, is we wanted to simplify things and not really have it so convoluted that our faculty, students are getting caught up and having to go through all these different processes, protocols, or what have you. If we can simplify it with avoid, deny, defend, you're really keeping it just to a simple format that's not going to allow people to get all flustered and confused in a critical incident. And we know that incidents, when they do happen, they're going to cause one's blood pressure to rise. They're going to have tunnel vision. So I think really the idea and notion behind just having a simple format allows people to be able to process things easier, quicker, and more precise for their survival.
Now, this is Homeland Security's reaction and their emergency management. And so this is where this came from. And I agree with you. For years, schools have done a great job of the deny, right? We close our classrooms, we board up we try to defend any way we can, we board up. But is that always the best response in every circumstance? Or why might we want to do avoid, deny, or defend?
Yeah, so you're right, Bill. It's one of those things where it's important for us to pay attention to our surroundings, right? You have that whole avoid run thing. If you know that there's an imminent or perceived threat somewhere, this is going to allow you to really devise a good exit strategy, right? To safeguard yourself, those faculty members to safeguard their students, those embodied around them, get them out safely, move away from the threat, right? And if that means getting out of the building, if they have the option or the availability, knowing that a threat may be on the furthest point and they're at the other end of the building, that may be the prime opportunity for them to just get away, exit a window, use another egress, a door, what have you.
I think it gives them more opportunity to, as you've said, assess the situation.
Sure.
And when we only trained basically in the deny for so long,
right,
we felt that that's the only response. But with history and lessons we've learned, avoiding is clearly the best strategy when possible.
Yeah.
So I know the answer to this, but I want people to understand, is that the order we want to go in, is always to avoid first if possible, then deny if avoiding isn't possible, and then defend? Is that how the system goes?
I mean, ideally, that's what you would look for, but that's not going to be, I guguess, more practical way if you have the threat right in front of you, right? You may be required to defend yourself. If you can hear commotion happening, well, then maybe that requires you to go into that whole deny and hide, barricade your door, right, so that it prevents or allows for people to be able to respond in a way that is going to safeguard or protect them.
So we're empowering our teachers and students really to have several responses,
sure,
depending on the circumstances.
Absolutely,
and not
yeah,
limited to one response.
Correct.
That may not be the best response.
Right.
That is awesome. I really like, and I've participated, but I want your take on it. I think our students have been responding extremely well. So just to put it in perspective, 2 years ago, we trained our staff.
Sure.
We started training our staff. And in this year, we started training our students.
Sure.
In your opinion, how have the students received this training?
Well, so, we've done a couple of scenarios or run a couple of drills in the school, both, middle, high school, as well as elementary. And I think, you'll stand behind this as well. In order to be proficient at something, right, we need that repetitive action or behavior. So, from what I've seen with the kids, initially at the onset, you get kids who are excited about things, right? But when you reel them in and you tell them the importance for what and why we're doing these things, they take it to a new level where they're more serious, they're more receptive and understanding of what needs to happen in order for preservation of life, right?
Thank you. And really, we wanted to educate our parents on this as well, in case they have questions or
Sure.
they want to understand it. And I think our buildings have done an excellent job of communicating. Hey, we started notifying parents when we started doing those drills ahead of time. So in case those students went home and had questions or concerns, they understood why we were doing that. So I'm really proud of that. Go ahead.
And it goes back to when you and I sat down and really discussed craze or, avoid, deny, and defend model, right? Again, it was one of those things that you have all these different types of training elements that are out there. And in the end all, looking at it, I think you and I came to an understanding and we're in agreement that really it's about everybody going home at the end of the day, right? And so if we can have something where we're giving people a really small scope of options to be able to protect themselves and those around them, we've done our work.
Yeah, and I think the statement that we're both kind of avoiding here is, unfortunately, school shootings are becoming a more common occurrence.
Unfortunately.
And I hate to have to bring that up or say that. And it's our responsibility to train our staff and our students around this. Thankfully, from those events, though, we have learned that this response is a much better response, and it keeps our students safer and our staff safer, which is our responsibility, and that's why we're moving towards this further training and support.
I completely concur.
Yeah. We had a couple other things happen this year. Homeland Security also came and did audits of our buildings.
Right.
Can you explain to people what that entails and why we decided to have them come in and do those audits?
Yeah, so I think it was, very important to just allow, Homeland Security to go through each school, assess those areas of concerns where, we really want to tackle some, weak points where, we could be susceptible to something. They talked about everything from door coverings to, surveillance equipment, other things and provisions that, need to be put in place to ensure that, we have a sound campus and that we're, being reactive in the sense that if something does happen, we have that stuff in place that's going to help potentially maybe mitigate some of those situations. Not always is that going to be the case, but I think, being able to have Homeland Security do this is paramount for identifying those things where, again, we have weak areas.
Yeah, and I think it's not just about that. It's about identifying areas to improve.
Sure.
And having Homeland Security, so just to put it in perspective, we had the Homeland Security personnel come. You were part of those walkthroughs. I was part of those walkthroughs. Our building principals were part of those walkthroughs, and so were our facilities.
Correct.
And they took 3 to 4 hours. Lots of conversation, but we got to go in every single area and get this outside perspective of what are some future priorities or what are we doing well or some feedback.
Sure.
And then they produced a nearly 20-page report for each of our buildings that now it helps guide us
Correct.
And some of those projects we've even already started, such as improving our vestibules, adding a window, pass-through window for parents and visitors never to have to enter our building. And so there are suggestions like that now we're going to move forward with and make our facilities and training better.
Security. Yeah.
Nice.
Good.
There's one other major project, and
Yeah.
you had a big role in this. It's not always just the response to an emergency, it's after the emergency. And this is called a reunification plan.
Sure.
And I've made it very public. I've said it at board meetings and different things. Our current plan is not where I wanted it to be.
Correct.
We currently have 4 different reunification sites, and it depends on the grade level and where they would go. In my opinion, this would be very challenging to manage in a true emergency. And the goal is to reunite students with their families as quick as possible. Tell me summarize some of the work we've been doing to update that reunification plan.
So really, a collaborative effort, right? We got together, we talked about, different opportunities. We were fortunate that the new management from Seacoast United over off of Shirkin Road allowed us their huge facility to be able to, house the whole district, really, in theory, right? So that we can have that really easy, simple solution for reunifying children with their parents, and we're not having to, like you said earlier, go to other locations.
Manage 4 different sites.
Right, sites. So now you have one location that is able to satisfy, and I think satisfy adequately, for faculty. It'll allow those students that may have, some underlying issues to be able to get the, resources and that one-on-one care that they need at this facility as well. So
I don't think people quite understand the level of detail that planning is required when we make such a change. I know we've had conversations, and you got to demonstrate a creative side,
Yeah.
where you created a mock-up model of the roads, and so we have this plan to the level of identifying where police officers are stationed with traffic control, where
Sure.
other emergency personnel are going to be needed. Talk about a little bit. You don't have to talk about all the details, but just talk about some of the planning that had to go into play to create this plan.
Yeah, so from prior experience and in law enforcement, some of the occasions that we've had have been, doing scenario-based training exercises on a tabletop. And when you and Mr. Mazzoni, or you came to Mr. Mazzoni saying, hey, look, I think, it would be really helpful and beneficial if we did something that really could allow staff to work hands-on prior to, just so we have an idea of how things are going to play out. So we came up with this great tabletop exercise, just stuff that was purchased online and really mimicked the way that Seacoast United looks, as well as the ingress, egress using Shirkin Road, the inlets, outlets there as well coming in, and then how we're going to, from a faculty standpoint, how we're going to position staff to really help reunify kids with students and what that is going to look like. And that's still a work in progress, as we know, right? But it allows us to be able to without being there, we can be here just going through those and batting ideas off of each other for, a format that will be helpful and hopeful.
I think that training exercise was very beneficial for all of us. And at this point, it was just the building administrators, myself
Sure.
and you and Kathy Zielinski. We got to participate in that. And that
Absolutely.
is a great way for us to become familiar and understand. And that's why tabletop exercises are so popular, is because they're beneficial in that training.
Yeah.
So I appreciate what work you and Mr. Mazzoni did to create that mock-up, because not only did we use it for our own training, we will continue to use it for the staff training. Just to put things in perspective, we've worked on it all year. Our goal was to have it finished by the end of the year.
Yeah.
We've got some trainings in the summer
Yeah.
for staff. And
Right.
that we're rolling this new reunification plan out for next year.
Yeah, we've made huge progress, and we'll continue to make progress, right?
Perfect. Last question I have for
Yeah.
you, more on a personal level. There's an opportunity for the audience to get to know you a little bit.
Sure.
You've been with us 2 years now. How's it been? How's your transition?
Yeah,
What's it like?
I couldn't be any more thankful. 22 years in law enforcement. I started my career as a school resource officer, working full-time in the school for 6 years. Then I moved along to another department and was the liaison between the police and the school district. Been teaching DARE 21 years to 5th and 7th grade. This community has just been amazing in every regard. It's one of those things when you move, and right? It takes a while to really feel comfortable and build those reports. But once we are able to build reports with faculty, yourself, families, right? It just goes a long way. So I'm grateful I'm here. I'm having a grand time. I work with some of the greatest personnel, both in my department as well as at the school, because I'm here more than I am over there. So I couldn't be any happier.
Excellent. Well, we're grateful you're here too, and it goes without saying, I'm so grateful for the police and the fire of Epping and other emergency responders are so supportive of the school.
Right.
When we have our meetings and different things, and they give their input, whenever there's a need, we're there to support each other, and we're working on other plans as well. And I have to say, I'm always very pleased with the Epping response. It's been wonderful to work with both those departments and others, and so thank you so much.
And likewise, thank you.
Well, thank you all. That's our latest episode of Out of the Blue News. I hope that you found it informational. As you know, safety is very important to us, and we just wanted to take an opportunity to fill you in on a few of the great things that we've been doing to ensure the safety of our students and staff as we move forward.
Can I add one piece?
Please do.
Furbush. So I would encourage that, if there's any parents out there who have some questions or concerns, please feel free. I often refer to this phrase, don't be bashful. Mr. Furbush, myself, gladly entertain and listen to whatever comments, concerns one might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.